So do we, okay. So a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC regular meeting commence at the hour of 7:05 p.m. And be it further resolved that the Manitowoc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee acknowledges that we are meeting on the Robertson Superior Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations, but we would like to pay special recognition to the closest Indigenous neighbors, the communities of Bitakaban, Anishinaabe, and Pic-Mulbert First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of the First Nations and the Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. Can I have a mover? Jim, seconder?
Sure.
Glenn, all in favor? Thank you. Next item is disclosure of any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Nothing? Okay. For the agenda, we're just making one amendment to add the presentation from the school via PowerPoint provided by Carly. Any concerns? Okay. So I'll do a resolution that the agenda be approved as amended. Can I have a mover? Jim, seconder?
Go ahead.
Carly, all in favor? Perfect, thank you. Okay, and we'll do approval of the minutes. So is there any questions or concerns of the minutes that were circulated from our regular meeting held October 8th, 2019?
No.
Nothing? Okay, so do a resolution that the minutes from the meeting of the Manitowoc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee held October 8th, 2019 are adopted as circulated. Mover? Glenn, seconder? John, all in favor? Thank you. And updates, please. Oh, that's for something later.
No, I know, but I think for the live streaming, it should be up there. Yeah. But up in front, Chris. Thank you, Madam Chair. For those in the audience and at home who don't know me, my name is Norman Sandberg. I'm with the NWMO. I'm the Municipal Relationship Manager. And I've been directed by Chris to stand here so that the viewers at home can see. Madam Chair, through you to the committee members and to the members of the public gallery, there are a few things that I'd like to update you on. The first is we've been talking about narrowing down sometime before the end of the year, and I've been saying to you that it would be less than the 5 communities that are currently in the siting process, but more than 1. I have a further update on that. I have been informed that we will be indeed trying to target 2 communities to move forward after the end of this year. If that is actually achieved, I don't know, but I wanted to let you know as soon as I knew that was the target. And Madam Chair, I don't know, do you want to wait till the end of the update for questions? It's at your pleasure.
Whatever anyone's comfortable with.
Okay. Secondly, Madam Chair, as you know, we did a community survey last month. The purpose of that survey was to get feedback on on how successful our outreach program is and sharing information about the project, the Deep Geological Repository for the Long-Term Management of Canada's Used Nuclear Fuel. We had committed to sharing the results with you when we got the report from the consultant. Just as a reminder, the consultant is doing a roll-up report for the NWMO. Any responses to the survey are strictly anonymous and are staying with the consultant. We as the NWMO will not know who responded in which way. That report will be released to us in early December, and as soon as we receive that, Madam Chair, we will be forwarding that to Town Hall for sharing with the community at its discretion. Thirdly, Madam Chair, just a reminder that we do have a tour planned of our research and development facility in Oakville, and also confirmed is a tour of McMaster University Research Reactor in the afternoon of December 4th. We have room for about 20 participants. There are, I believe, 13 confirmed at this point, so there are some extra spots. This will be for Manitowoc, Hornpain, and Constance Lake has also expressed an interest in joining on that tour. So we're hoping that we can have full participation. If there's anyone in the community that has interest in attending that tour, I would suggest that you contact, Madam Chair, through you, the project manager, Jordan, and get that information to us very soon, please, so we can finalize arrangements. Fourthly, Madam Chair, just to let you know that my colleague Mike Borelli and I had the opportunity to attend the Thunder Bay District Municipal League Conference, and we saw His Worship and members of council, Jim, and really members of council from as far west as South Gillies, as far east, I believe, as Wawa. So very good representation from across the region. We participated as delegates and had an opportunity to share project updates on a one-on-one basis with most of the delegates were there. Just as a reminder that we attend these municipal conferences because this is a long-term project. It is a project that will have an impact on whatever region we land in. It will also have an impact on communities that we would potentially transport used fuel through. One of the purposes of attending these municipal conferences is to give municipalities a long-term heads-up of the project's intent and the timeline. As a former municipal councillor, I understand that I wouldn't want to find out about anything a week before it occurs. I would very much appreciate weeks, months, years of a heads-up before that happens. So that's the purpose of us attending these many municipal conferences. And second lastly from me, Madam Chair, just to let you know that for the first time we will be attending the Northern Ontario Tourism Summit in Timmins next week. Carol Barnes and I will be attending that. So this is the tourist operators from across Northern Ontario that gather at their annual conference to talk about issues that may affect them and opportunities that they may be able to take advantage of. So we'll be attending there with an information booth. We have reached out on a one-on-one basis with potential stakeholders in the potential siting areas. So this is our first real opportunity to share some information about our potential project with the entire Northern Ontario tourism operators. Before I turn the mic over to Karen Robinson, Madam Chair, for CSR updates, I would like to, Sean, if you can just stand for a moment. A relatively new colleague, Sean Ross, was working with our Indigenous engagement team, and he will be providing Kevin Malloy's regular Indigenous engagement update to you tonight. So I just wanted to introduce Kevin and welcome him to the team. Oh, sorry, Sean. And then, Madam Chair, before I call Karen up, perhaps this is an opportunity for anybody to ask me any questions on any of the updates that I've provided, and then I'll sit down after that.
Perfect. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Then, thank you. And Karen?
Our CSRs came back. Our CSR requests came back. I'm happy to say that we funded an educational tour for the Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron. It's a regional thing run at a marathon. We have some children from Manitouwadge that will be going. They're going to be London, Normandy, and what they have asked is that this trip is to educate the cadets as to the sacrifices made by Canadian men and women during World War II. Further, they will also participate in a VE Day ceremony, which will honor fallen Canadian soldiers. NWMO has helped sponsor this trip. We've also sponsored our Kawisa Ski Club for their startup SCOS and some of their events this following year. So we're happy to say that we've had a couple of good funding applications come in and able to help them. Also, our office was the office where the ballots were being brought in last Friday for the Moonlight Madness that the township sponsored. It was crazy busy. We had lots of people come through our office, and it was nice to be part of it. So we want to thank the township for allowing us to be part of that.
Thank you.
So thanks for having me here. I'm going to provide the update on Indigenous engagement in the region. So firstly, I'll just generally say that ongoing positive engagement is occurring. It's continuing on as usual. We have some good news that we have 2 new communities in the region who have signed Learn More agreements with us. One of those is Long Lake 58. Another is Ganoogaming First Nation, who had previously been in a Learn More process with us, but took a step back to deal with some other priorities they had, and have now signed a new agreement with us. So we see that as a positive step forward. One of the things that we've done with those communities and others in the region is begun talking about transportation, as we are in the early stages of developing a transportation framework, and that's a document that's going to help us with our sort of long-term transportation planning. We're trying to get some early feedback from First Nations and Métis communities on what their interests and priorities are related to transportation. Another update is that the Crown, in this case the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, has delegated us the duty to consult on borehole drilling in the region. So we're in the process now of setting up consultation meetings with First Nations that the Crown has directed us to consult with. There's 5 First Nations on the consultation list. So the consultation meetings haven't begun, but we're in the process of scheduling them. With some of the communities, they've identified to us that they would like to have a little more engagement before those consultation meetings occur, just so that they have a better understanding of the project. Those are the communities that are sort of more new to our learning process, so we just want to get them up to speed so that they know what they're consulting on. So we'll be doing that in the coming month. We're hoping to have some good engagement meetings with those communities so that we can jump into consultation. Of course, MNRF will not provide us permission to drill those boreholes until they're satisfied that our consultation record is complete, so it will take some time to do that, but those things are being scheduled now. And I think that's it. Unless there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer. The 5 communities on the consultation list are Long Lake 58, Ganoogaming First Nation, Constance Lake First Nation, Pick River, and Pick Mobert. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee, and to members of the public. Your committee will recall that back in July we launched our Voices of Reconciliation videos, and I'm happy to inform you that all the 8 videos have now been uploaded to our website. You just go to nwmo.ca under News and Activities, and below that there's a multimedia section. And when you click at the multimedia section, you will see all the 8 videos uploaded there. So back in July, we played the first video, and tonight we would like to play for you the 8th video entitled Canada in the World.
Jordan touched it.
Canada in the World. Where's the link? Okay. I think they can get it. I can send the link to the committee members after given the time that we have today. That we have got so many things going on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Thank you. So we'd like to thank the NWMO for their updates. So do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC formally thank the NWMO for their updates. Can I have a mover, please? Jim, seconder? Carly, all in favor? Perfect, thank you. And next item on our list is the presentation this evening. So I'd like to ask Mika to come up to the front to do his presentation, please.
Is too dark?
No, that's
So,
good.
that's good.
Okay.
Okay, how's the voice? Okay, is it now good? Very good. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you here today. Quite many, regardless of the weather. Now our mixer is just adjusting my voice a little bit. Good. Okay, is this now good? It's too loud, I think, because it starts to circle. Okay, do you hear me all? Very good, then let's start. So, NWMO has invited me to these meetings to tell about a little bit of background of the Finnish DGR, Deep Geological Repository project, as well as our role as a corporate citizen in our municipality and nearby region and in Finland, as well as concretely of the project that where we are at the moment. So I will, approximately 25 minutes, half an hour, I will tell about these three main topics, and then I'm happy to answer to any questions and also discuss after this meeting. First, I would like to, as a background, explain the nuclear waste management framework in Finland. We have two nuclear companies. This is Industry Power in English, but I use the Finnish abbreviation TVO. And that is owned by industrial companies and municipalities, produces electricity for its owners at cost, so it's a completely private company. Fortum Power and Heat is stock-listed company. State of Finland owns 50.9%, but doesn't, of course, control the business in any way because it's a publicly listed company available in Helsinki Stock Exchange. And Fortum is running or operating two Russian VVR 440 reactors in Loviisa, southern Finland, and they have been in operation for 40 years now. I use Teollisen Voima because we are on the same island with Teollisen Voima. We are operating two Swedish reactors which have been also in operation for 40 years, and then the newest one, Olkiluoto 3, which some of you might have heard, but I hope not, because it's slightly delayed, only 10 years at the moment, but it will be commissioned next year. So we will have three operating reactors in TVO. According to law, these nuclear utilities are responsible for nuclear waste management, and they have taken care of that so that both companies have constructed a final repository of low and interim active waste on their power plant sites. They are, in our case, two stone silos from 60 meters to 100 meters in crystalline bedrock, very simple structures, just steel concrete lining inside the silo. And in Fortum's case, it's because of different geology, it's a horizontal design. But these have been operative, this since 1992 and this 1997. And to put ourselves on the scale, this interim waste, low active waste is very low active waste. It's like overalls, gloves. It's not necessarily active at all. Interim active waste is water purification resins and other things that let's say in annual maintenance, some parts which are taken out of the systems, etc., or replaced. So that stuff is radioactive more than background, something like 3 to 500 years, whereas the spent fuel is radioactive tens of thousands of years. So that's the difference. So the solution for low and intermediate is quite simple and existing in operation already 25 years. These companies then have established a company called Posiva to take care of the spent fuel. And that is our task. The wrong direction. So, Posiva's mission is safe and cost-efficient final disposal of the spent nuclear fuel of our owners, and our vision is to be or to keep our position as the global leader in final disposal of spent nuclear fuel. We are at the moment something like 90 staff, plus we are buying expertise from consultancies and institutes, approximately 120 person years. And top of that, we do have a contractor organization who are constructing our underground and above ground facilities. Our turnover this last year, which is nice name to cost, because we are cost to our owners, was 73 million euros, but that will raise now to 130 and 150 because the construction is in full speed. Posiva Solutions, which I represent, is a daughter company of Posiva, and my task and our task is to sell the experience of Posiva to other waste management organizations in the world. So we do mainly advisory services, but certain types of measurements, modelings, etc. We do have at the moment clients from Canada to China. This is our home island. This is a 5 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide island in southwestern Finland, coast of southwestern Finland. That was bought by the power company in 1960s when they started to plan nuclear power production, and we own practically the whole island. There are some summer cottages and maybe 2 or 3 houses on this island. Nearest summer cottage is 700 meters from our final repository fence. So we are good neighbors and they are good neighbors. They don't disturb us. And when you drive this road out of the island, you are surrounded by farms. Farms mainly, it's agricultural forest area, and then 10 kilometers you come to Eurajoki municipality city center or city center, town center. Eurajoki has 9,000 inhabitants, and the nearby city, Rauma, has 40,000. So our nearest region has 50,000 residents. Around these, you see the islands. This was outer sea, but inner archipelago, we have hundreds of summer cottages as our neighbors. The power plant units I already showed you, number 1, number 2, and number 3. But if you go to the back end of the nuclear fuel final disposal or nuclear fuel cycle, here we have an interim storage for spent fuel for all the 3 units. That's basically a swimming pool, because 2 meters of water is enough to stop radiation. We, however, have 8 meters there to be on the safe side. And all the fuel since the start of these units 78 and 80 is stored to the interim storage. Then we do have the silos, as I showed you, operating waste repository, meaning low and intermediate active, and then also we do have space for 6 more silos for decommissioning purposes of these 2 units, maybe after some 30 years, because they are 40-year-old units, but they just got 20 years extension. They have been kept in a very good condition and have been in the top 5 in the world's 460 reactors whole of their lifetime. This is describing the Finnish attitude to nuclear power. Then the Onkalo area. Onkalo is registered name for our final disposal facility. The Onkalo area is here in the front, and the entrance to Onkalo, which is an underground rock characterization facility. Entrance is here, and approximately 5 kilometers of tunnel leads down to 455 meters, and that was built from 2004 to 2010, and there we have done all our research and development, and that will be part of the final disposal facility, unlike in other countries who have separate laboratory, which then remains unused after the final disposal starts. These ventilation building for the underground premises and hoisting building, they have been there, of course, since the Onkalo was constructed. Nowadays this looks a little bit different, but you will see newer pictures of the area. But this is a general overview of our home island. Our journey is presented as an arrow here. The length is, as I said, length is 40 years, and the surface area is 1 billion euro. That much money our owners have spent for the development of our project so far, so that we have got to the start of construction. In addition, the owners have put aside, since the first megawatt hour, 2.7 billion euros in the state-controlled fund, so it's not under control of power companies, it's a state-controlled fund, and that is in case that the companies go bankrupt or stop otherwise nuclear power production, so state has the money then to take care of the final disposal. Main milestones here are, let's say, when we started nuclear production, it was the thinking was that some of the advanced big countries, big nuclear countries like Canada, USA, UK, Germany, etc., solves the problem or issue of final disposal, and then we copy-paste that to Finland. But in fact it went a little bit differently, and we ended up to do almost everything first in the world. 1983, when the first operation license for nuclear power plants were renewed, our government gave also to the companies, based on nuclear law, an obligation to find the final disposal site by year 2000 and start the final disposal in 2020s. So far we have kept this schedule for 40 years. Our site selection process, in which NWMO and Canada is now, was 17 years. It was first in the world, so probably it could be implemented in a little bit shorter time based on the vastly better knowledge of the topic today. But anyway, 1999 we selected Olkiluoto. 2001 we got so-called decision in principle ratified by the Finnish Parliament. In the Finnish nuclear licensing system there are 3 main permits for nuclear power plant or nuclear waste facility, whatever, and they are this. First is decision in principle, and this is political. The municipality has veto right, and it has to be approved, first of all, decided by government and approved by Parliament, meaning ratified by Parliament. The second license is construction license. It is also given by government, but it's not anymore political. It's based on technical, environmental, socio-economical, safety, etc. assessments and plans, designs. And then the third and the last one is the operating license. Operating license which allows one to operate the facility. After we got the decision in principle, we built the Onkalo, which I already mentioned, and 2012 submitted the application for construction license, and the government of Finland gave that to us first in the world in November 2015. As a result, we started construction 2016. Now we are at this moment preparing application for operation license, which we will submit 21, and we assume we get the operating license in 23 or 24, and will be able to start disposal of spent fuel 2025. So in approximately 6 years' time. Next ones will be probably Sweden. They are 6 to 8 years behind us, as is France. And the rest, other organizations are then a little bit more behind. Site selection, 17 years on one slide is a bit summarized, but anyway, site selection started from white map of Finland, and as we happen to be on a very old and very stable bedrock in the middle of Scandinavian plate, we don't have earthquakes, and the bedrock is very big parts of it is granite. So in a preliminary screening of sites, more than 100 candidate sites or areas were found or identified. Then through different screenings and studies, etc., in the end phase 6 sites were selected for preliminary studies, and then out of those 4, the detailed site studies. These are nuclear power plant sites. This is our site, Eurajoki, where the island name is Olkiluoto, and this Loviisa, small city 100 kilometers east of Helsinki, is Fortum's nuclear power plant town. Äänekoski is an industrial city or town in the middle of Finland, central Finland, and Kuhmo is non-industrial place in the northeastern Finland. And all these sites, in fact all these 100 sites, would have been safe enough and good enough for final disposal, but there are of course other factors also which are affecting the selection, and we ended up in 1999 to Eurajoki. One reason, for example, is that 60% of the spent nuclear fuel is there or will be there, and then the transport is happening within the power plant area 1.5 kilometers, so it's not very complicated transport. From here, it's Fortum's responsibility to plan the transport, but basically we have two self-evident options. We can borrow the Swedish sister organization or rent the Swedish sister organization ship. They do have a ship specially built for spent nuclear fuel transport, because they transport from their 4 sites every year all spent fuel to Oskarshamn, which is south of Stockholm, 200 kilometers south of Stockholm, and they have their centralized interim storage there. So they have routinely transported by sea using this ship already for 40 years. But to be exact, they have already a new ship, so they have had 30 years for the first ship, and then nowadays the Sigrid is 10 years old, and they lease that to the other organizations because they obviously don't need it year round. So we could rent that ship, or we can use normal trucks. And because transport seems to be issue has been at least in Germany, here to some extent maybe, I would like to point out that that is probably, I don't know what you could transport more safely than spent nuclear fuel, because it's standard casks which are extremely durable, strong. You can sink them to sea bottom, or you can keep them in a fire for 24 hours at least, or you can hit them by train. The train suffers very much of that, but the radiation does not does not come out of the casks. So that was the first part, project history in a nutshell. And Posiva, as a corporate citizen in Eurajoki region and in Finland, I would like to point out that now, what I'm now telling, it's not only about the site selection period, but it's our operations since the very beginning till this day. So we are communicating at least as intensively, if not more, than we did during the site selection period. During our site selection period, there was, for example, no social media, but now you can find us in every social media, and we have got more and more real time. So if there are questions and comments and from stakeholders, we try to be as fast as possible in answering. The other cornerstones of our communications is that it's based on facts, and we only tell what we do. We don't comment what others do. We don't criticize others. We tell what we do openly and fact-based. And we also tell if we have failed in something. And the second cornerstone there is that it's our responsibility to be understandable. So we want to be understandable whether a school kid asks something or university professor asks something or anybody asks something. We try to be as understandable. It's our responsibility. It's not the stakeholder responsibility to study nuclear physics or something. We need to be able to explain what we do in plain Finnish or English. The roots of our culture of active interactive action with stakeholders stems back to 1970s. In 1970s and 80s, I don't know how it was in Canada, but in Finland, at least, industry didn't discuss with ordinary people. They planned a pulp and paper mill or factory or power plant and build it there, agreed maybe with the municipality, and then said to people that sue us if you like. But this is now here. But TVO was exception. The situation has improved in 90s and etc. So now the discussion atmosphere or discussion is completely on a different level with all industry and stakeholders. But our CEO at that time was quite special guy. So he wanted people to know what we are doing on the island. He wanted to take people there and see we are building these nuclear power plants, and they will be affecting this and like this and that. And so he, as you see maybe from the picture, it's not from last year, the bus model or the clothing of people. So he started bringing people there since the very beginning of 70s. And this municipal cooperation group, which was established as a result, has been functioning since 1970s. We do local school cooperation. We organize science and technology camps, for example, for children outside their semester, not nuclear, but general technology and natural science camps to give parents a week's rest from the summer holiday kids, and also to maybe raise their interest in the natural sciences. We do close cooperation with universities and research institutes of different levels, and we are also target for research. So, for example, socio-economic faculty of Tampere University is researching nuclear and societal issues, and we are often one of their research targets, and we do not finance that research. So that's objective. I will return to this. That's why I'm explaining it now. We do, as I mentioned, we do versatile means and media for fast and open communication. We sponsor in a little amount sports and culture mainly, and junior activities, different junior activities, always non-profit activities. But so the main financial benefit from our, meaning nuclear power company, and us as a spent nuclear fuel disposal company, the main or the only financial benefit to the municipality and state of Finland is in the form of taxes. We pay real estate tax and company tax, and that's it. But we are a very big taxpayer in the municipality. Where was I? Here. Let's jump to this year 2001, when the decision in principle was yes from the government, and Parliament voted for ratification. And they voted 159 yes and 3 against. So it was quite an unanimous decision. And the main rationale behind this unanimity was maybe well summarized, can be well summarized in three arguments. So one was that aiming at final disposal is better solution than just resorting to interim storing. Because, for example, in 20,000 years from now, Finland will be again under 2.5 kilometers of ice. Interim storing is very difficult to maintain. After the ice melts, there will be 200 meters of water. It's always also difficult to maintain interim storage. So the final disposal, where people society doesn't need to do anything to secure its safety, is better solution. Then this option for retrievability of waste canisters must be maintained. This means that if in the future some technology is developed by which this can be made harmless, then it must be possible to retrieve the canisters. But it must not be easy or cheap, because otherwise we don't know which kind of a form of state or who will control the area of Finland after 100 or 1,000 years. So then it must not be easy to retrieve, but it must be possible. And then the moral obligation that the present generation, if we have created this kind of stuff, we also have to be decisive enough to take responsibility of solving it. Before decision in principle approval in Parliament, there was a vote in the council of the municipality, and if they would have said no, then it would have been no for good, because it's an absolute and permanent veto right. But our municipality voted 20 yes and 7 no, largely with the same basic arguments behind. Then, if we look at whole Finland, population 5.5 million, small country, how the opinions have developed. This graph is from a poll that Energy Industry Federation is doing every year since 1983. It's done by an independent consultant. There are approximately 40-45 questions of energy issues in general, and 4 or 5 of those questions are about nuclear energy. So it's an energy poll. How people think about wind power, should it be increased? How they think about coal, etc., etc. Several questions. But of those 5 nuclear questions, one is about nuclear waste, and it is: do you agree that nuclear waste can be safely stored in a final repository in the bedrock of Finland? And then there are kind of an agree completely somewhat, meaning this is the agree side, this syksy is autumn, as you see here, and disagree side somewhat and disagree completely, and then this quite stable couldn't care less part. So difficult to say. This is, at least in Finland, typical that lots of people don't really, they trust that this issue will be taken care by authorities, and they will supervise enough, so I don't need to really study that issue myself. And it is also a little bit regional issue, so if you go to eastern Finland or northern Finland, even in Helsinki, and stop people and ask about final disposal of spent nuclear fuels, they probably stare at you and what? So they don't know about the whole thing. But the trend here, which I like to believe it's at least part of partly result of our openness and transparency and activeness in informing people, trend is very good. When we started such election, only 14% of people did agree and 60% were against. But this was, again, because at that time not much information existed of the whole topic. And then it's much safer to say no. Then this part stayed approximately in 60%. You notice Chernobyl here the accident a little bit even increased that disagreeing, but after that it has gradually and slowly, but anyway it has grown to this 36% last year, but 38% disagree. So it's approximately 50-50. The accuracy of this kind of a measurement, where typically 1,000 persons are interviewed, is around plus minus 2%. But if we go to local level, which is more interesting, I mentioned Tampere University. They made 2017 an interview in our municipality, which is Eurajoki. So where we have had at this point almost 40 years operating nuclear industry, and then Pyhäjoki. This is also small municipality, 5,000 inhabitants, 300 kilometers north of us, and the third nuclear company, or wannabe nuclear company. They have not yet nuclear power plant, but they are constructing it there. So these Pyhäjoki residents do not have nuclear experience from their own municipality yet. But the question was that, do you consider this and this stakeholder trustworthy or untrustworthy in issues concerning nuclear waste management? And our regulator, which is quite famous internationally as well, quite strict, very strict and very competent and very open, they got good scores in this. So more than 80% of people trust and less than 10 do not trust. But what we are very proud of is that in our home, and also in Pyhäjoki, but in our home municipality, over 55% trust us. So, and less than 20 doesn't trust us. And I would say that from an industry, this is a very good score, and we are very proud of this, and we have worked to reach this position. So we are the second trusted stakeholder in issues concerning nuclear waste management. Ministry doesn't score very well. Our own utility, TVO, it's very trusted, as trusted as us. In our home municipality in Pyhäjoki, they don't know the company, and vice versa. In Pyhäjoki, there is this utility Fennovoima. It is trusted, and those Pyhäjoki people, they don't know our company. Government, well, who trusts government? That this is 20%. At least Eurajoki people do not trust government. An interesting feature is here that we have two NGOs, non-governmental organization, in this case nuclear opposing organization. The first one is small local one. It's not very trusted. In Eurajoki, 8% of people trust that. And then the second one is global one, Greenpeace. And that's in our municipality approximately, or less than 15% trusts or considers Greenpeace trustworthy. 50% or more consider that untrustworthy. And this is probably due to that fact that both regulator, us, and ministry our utility, we are communicating facts in a clear Finnish or Swedish, because Finland is bilingual country, for your information. So we are communicating clearly and we are communicating facts. And then if there are horror scenarios, which is typical for NGOs, then people tend to feel a little bit uncomfortable that now you will fall ill, or your crops will go bad, or reputation of municipality will suffer, or something like that. So people tend to, at least Finnish people tend to be a little bit allergic to this kind of exaggeration. So they think that if these guys have now lied to us for 40 years, they think that maybe regulator or ministry would have noticed at some point that this is so bad. And then they think that, yeah, it must be so that these guys, when they have stated that this can be safely implemented, it can be safely implemented. Let me check. Okay, so usually, people are talking about pillars of something, but we are going underground, so we are talking about shafts of success, and shafts of success leading to our public acceptance. And I would say that the first and most important is trust and transparency, which I have already emphasized a couple of times. It takes decades or years at least to earn, minutes or seconds to lose, and it is probably impossible to earn back if one loses it once. And it cannot be bought back. So we can make mistakes and lose money. That leads only to that managing director, my boss, gets fired, and that's very good. But if we lose trust, we cannot get it back. Money we can get back if our owners so desire. Second is that the authorities, not only nuclear regulator, but also, let's say, environmental authorities, municipal authorities, are independent and trusted. And hand in hand with that is the fact that we do have, not only in nuclear but in all activities, quite clear processes and responsibilities, and roles are understood. So people and stakeholders know when and how they can affect any ongoing process. And this is, of course, the third one. It's Eurajoki specific feature that we have been running very reliable, well-performing reactors there for 40 years in a small community. So everybody of those 50,000 people knows somebody who has worked either in TV or in Posiva, or they have worked there themselves. And our employees are the most important communicators, ambassadors of our company, because they go home to their families, to their hobbies, to their friends, and they tell how was it at work today. If they tell that everything is working well, things are taken care of, if I notice something is wrong, it's corrected, management reacts. That is the fundament. But if they would tell that, no, it's a bit sluggish, and today I noticed something and my boss just laughed at me. So if the case was that, we couldn't repair it with any kind of communications. So our employees are our most important communicators. And as a result of that, people at the region have a very good and very long experience of reliable, employing, tax-paying and transparent nuclear industry. In Finland, the support for nuclear power, it should be kept or increased. That share of population has been traditionally around 35 to 38%. Now, as a result of the climate change discussion, which has increased more and more, last year it was 49%. Even Green Party has started to, or many party members, not Green Party as party, but many party members have changed their opinion. They support nuclear nowadays because they see that somehow we have to decarbonize the energy system, and it doesn't happen by putting the head in the bush. Where we are going now is, first I will show the concept. So it's different from Canada because Canadian CANDU reactors are using so-called natural uranium, so it's a quite different fuel than ours, which is let's say more widely used, this enriched uranium fuel. But our concept is to put these fuel assemblies, or if I start from the fuel pellet, it's in zirconium, so that is the first barrier for radiating substances. That is in reactor, it is in fuel assemblies, and that assembly will then be put into canister, which is it is cast iron, and that's the engineered barrier number 2. Canister or cast iron insert will be put in the copper overpack, which is 50 millimeter thick. This is 5 meters tall and 1 meter diameter, approximately 24 tons when full. That's the third engineered barrier. The canister will be put in the final deposition hole, which is not in a fractured area. That is, each hole is placed individually so that they are in stable rock which has no fractures. That will be put in the hole and surrounded with the bentonite clay, which will then, when it gets water or gets wet, it will expand and lock the groundwater from leaking to the canister. This is engineered barrier number 4, and it continues so that these tunnels are also filled with bentonite. And these tunnels are in the depth of 420 meters of bedrock. The bedrock has been there as it is now 1,900 million years. Compared to that, 100,000 years is relatively short time. But for a human being, 100,000 years is ununderstandably long time. But if you think about that, I'm always myself impressed when I go down there and think that this rock has been here for a while. It's very hard to understand what is 1,900 million years. So this system has then the first fundament, or the only fundament, is safety. Only safe final disposal is possible. So this has to manage to isolate the radioactive substances from biosphere for 100,000 years or more. Our design basis is 100,000 years, but practically many design parameters are taking up to million years. And it has to have tolerance against ice ages. There will be 1 or 2 during the next 100,000 years, 2.5 kilometers of ice here, and then after that, few hundreds, maybe 200 meters of water. Then this kind of an evolution it has to tolerate. We have a very nice animation, by the way, of this evolution during the 100,000 years in our website and in YouTube too. This is the concept, and what we started to construct 2016 were these, which are the first final disposal tunnels, and the rest underground structure, that is the Onkalo. It has been ready since 2010. 3 shafts have been ready since 2010, meaning 2 ventilation shafts and 1 personal lift shaft. And the 4th shaft I will show a picture soon. This is scheme of an encapsulation plant. In short, the fuel elements are brought from the interim storage here, and then they go through different phases and are packed in the copper canister, inspected, and then they are lowered down to the final disposal depth. We also started to make the foundations for encapsulation plant last year, and the canister shaft is approximately here, or will be. This is not there. There are 5 meters left because that was otherwise finalized in March 2019. It was done by raise boring, so by lifting the bore from 420 meters to 200, and then 200 to 90 level, and 90 to 10 level. And this is diameter here is 6 meters. But after this, in June this year, our owners gave us a final green light that, okay, you can construct the encapsulation plant, and this is a point of no return in a way, very important for us. We are very happy about that because tunnels you can construct and you can just leave them. If you want to interrupt the project, you can leave the tunnels there for 30 years and just pump the water away, and everything is okay. After 30 years you can go and switch the lights on and continue excavation. But if you are building a high-tech industrial plant with all those automatized technologies which are needed to pack the spent nuclear fuel, that you cannot really leave there and switch the lights off and come back after 30 years and assume that maybe it will work. So now we will go ahead. And as a result, this was 1 year later, and in fact 2 months after the decision had been made, 3 months after the decision had been made to proceed. So you see that the foundations are being cast in a full speed, and those ventilation and hoisting buildings are here in behind, and the shaft place is in fact here. We also have saved time for this in this project. We did over 100 contracts of main equipment before we got the decision. We would have paid penalty then for the manufacturer, but we wanted to do the contract negotiations and preparation for manufacturing in good time, so that now when we got the decision in June from our owners, we just signed a little bit over 100 contracts, and these manufacturing is in full speed too. There are just few examples. These have been all the main equipment have been through global competition, and sadly, as a result, not many Finnish companies succeeded. So I would say the main equipment, or most of the main equipment, come from France or Germany. But this is because these countries have expertise in constructing nuclear fuel and nuclear waste handling machinery. Finnish companies do not really. And this is how the encapsulation plant should look like in 2022. And this is how the final disposal facility should look like in 2120. It might be, I don't know, that I am not personally seeing if it looks like that, but I believe to our engineer that it will look like that. That why it lasts 100 years is because of Olkiluoto 3, the newest power plant unit. It will start 2020 and it will operate 60 years. So the last fuel to be disposed of comes out 2080. And that has to be cooled down in the interim storage 30 or 40 years before it can be disposed of. So that's why the long duration. The footprint of this facility is approximately 2 square kilometers. Each of the tunnels is 300 meters. There will be approximately 30 canisters in each, and there will be then 60 to 70 kilometers tunnel and about 3,250 canisters. This will be built as we go, because it doesn't make sense to create a big hollow space a big empty warehouse underground and then start to fill it for 100 years. But we will be excavating tunnels and at the same time putting canisters in other tunnels and backfilling them. And then again putting canisters and backfilling and excavating new tunnels. 4 tunnels at time is the present plan. We have done all kinds of research and development, as you may maybe estimate, by dividing 1 billion euro per 100 euro per hour, you get the number of person hours used. Okay, 200 million has been invested in constructing Onkalo, etc. But we have done really a lot research and development for this concept, and this is now the ongoing mother of all experiments, the full scale in situ system test. We have here is tunnel. Here is the tunnel seen from the side, and here are 2 deposition holes. We have inserted there 2 real-size canister with 2 real-size cast inserts, but no nuclear fuel. There are heaters to simulate the heat from the decaying spent nuclear fuel. And approximately 600 sensors for different parameters in the canisters, outside the canister, in the bentonite, in the bedrock. And then these have been surrounded by bentonite, the tunnel has been backfilled, and the concrete block has been cast here to prevent the swelling of this bentonite out from the tunnel. This test has 2 main purposes, to simplify, to summarize. One main purpose was, because we finalized it in May this year, the construction of the test. One purpose was to see and try how our machinery and equipment, which we have ourselves developed and constructed with help of mechanical big companies, how they work together, how the whole thing works when everything is being done, all the phases are being implemented. How does it work? What we can learn? We learned a lot, that I can say. And then the second target, which will be shown, because the data is now flowing out since December last year from these 600 sensors, we want to see how well we have managed to model the happenings or the events in the bedrock, which there are not many. And these are the 2 main purposes. The price of this test, the cost of this test for us was approximately 12 million euros, and we 2 organizations in the world were very smart and wanted to participate by paying something for us that, and so NWMO and RWM from UK are participating to this test. So they are present, they are working with us, they are getting reports, getting all the data, and both organizations have told me that they have learned a lot what not to do in their own developments, because it's always nicer when somebody else is wasting money, and then you can learn from that. So of course we have had some learnings. In fact, those went surprisingly well, this test, putting it together. Good. This is just illustrating the size. This is real size copper canister. It's approximately 5 meters tall, as I said, and it's being prepared for instrumentation. And here are some of the bentonite that was needed to fill the 50 meters of the tunnel. This is also size demonstration. The final disposal tunnel starts here. It's 4 meters high, 3 meters wide, and then this groove here is the place for the concrete block. That diameter of that is approximately 9 meters. Good. This was in short a very long project, and as I mentioned and said, you can find a lot more information from our website and for example, YouTube search as possible final disposal. If you are busy people, the shortest way you can learn about final disposal is an animation of 3 minutes. It explains everything from radiation to final disposal in 3 minutes. But if you have more than 3 minutes and more interest into that, you will find lots of interesting material. And you can also, I don't know if we have published thousands of reports, maybe not thousands, but hundreds at least. Those you can all, if you are interested in some special topic, a lot of information can be found via our website. Thank you for attention. I'm happy to answer to your questions.
Mika, one thing that I'm curious about, on one of the graphs there...
Just use the microphone.
Oh, sorry. On one of the graphs that you showed, showing whether the people thought there was a competence in handling nuclear waste repository. There was over 35 years, and although the trend, this one here, although the trend is certainly towards a more positive outlook on things, it still really only reached about a 50% rating sort of thing amongst the with the survey. Are there things that you feel or that you know that could have been done differently over time that would possibly improve the survey results?
It's very difficult to say what would have been
because we're in this situation right now, so I'd like to, learn from the retrospect.
It is hard to look back so long time and think, especially when I was not involved personally, from the beginning to think that what could have been done differently. For sure, there are things which could have been done differently. And as I have said, in one of those meetings, somebody asked my opinion of NWMO siting process, and I said that I don't know. I only know one thing of it, and it is much better than ours, for the simple reason that we were first, and it was kind of a trial and error with NWMO, and one very good process is ongoing in Switzerland. So these organizations have learned a lot from, for example, our mistakes, and are doing things better. So, but this is how it has gone in Finland, and it's very hard to point out any single bigger or smaller issue that it would be different.
Okay, thank you.
But generally, I would like to add here that because this is measuring the whole nation opinion, of which if somebody calls you, hello, I'm doing this on this interview, and you are in the bad mood, and you don't care about, then you could easily say that, no, I don't disagree with anything today. But if I mentioned that the nuclear support of nuclear power has risen to 49%, but it has been 35 to 38. But if the closer you go to the nuclear power plant, the higher it is. So in Eureka area, it's maybe 80% or something like that. But that was just a supplement here.
If I were you, I'd take credit for the 26% and say it's difficult to say, because that's almost saying, yes, it's okay.
It is so that if there would be a vote or something, these guys wouldn't vote, or I don't know. It's a little bit speculative. We are happy with the trend here that this goes in the good direction.
Mika, I just have a couple questions. The test that you talked about where you actually put a mock-up canister into the ground, is that test currently still running, or is that completed?
It is running. In fact, sorry, I've been trying to be so brief as possible, but here the construction or the installation, in fact, started in June, and we cast the concrete block here in last May. So the data will be now flowing for, let's say, maybe 5-6 years, and then it's hard to say, but when we got enough data, then we will dismantle this thing.
Perfect. That's just what I wanted to know. I just was wondering how long the project was planned to last.
To test the retrievability. That's the next phase, but that might be years before we have got enough data to understand the development of the system.
And I just have another question. Not coming from a mining background, when you were talking about having some of the tunnels already built, putting canisters in the ground, and then continuing to build the rest of the tunnels, are there no concerns about any kind of disruption of those casts that are already in ground while they're mining right beside it?
No, no. The excavation, in fact, is compared to mining. I smile because the first stretch of the tunnel was done by a company who was very used to excavate tunnels, and not maybe mining, but that went a bit badly before they understand that we, in our excavation, the excavation damage zone is allowed to be 40 centimeters from the surface of the rock. So it is kind of silk glove excavation. And in fact, we are doing all the time development, so we don't freeze this concept. We start with this concept, but one of the development is that we are investigating possibilities to have mechanical excavation. The main problems there are that we need a U-shaped tunnel, and then we need a very small tunnels, because the smaller it is, the cheaper it is to backfill. These are the reasons. But no, the excavation is very, very well understood activity, because we have a seismic measurement network in Onkalo and in the surroundings. I don't know how many hundreds of sensors there are, but the forces of any explosion are very, very well controlled and known.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Good.
Any questions?
Backfilling process, you use bentonite clay?
Yeah.
Backfill?
Yeah.
How do you, I'm sure you want to compress it in there as tight as possible and push out all the air, is that correct?
That's
how do you do that?
very, very good question, because, and it's one of the main learnings of this test. You saw here bentonite blocks. We had a machine which filled this tunnel by blocks, and then we sprayed bentonite granules in between of the blocks and the rock. To fill it, we have a minimum density requirement of 1.4 tons per cubic meter, and that was very well reached. And this structure is very dense, or what you say, there is no really air or empty space. This is very tight, and this we managed to do with the spraying technology. We managed to fill that 100%, but this was extremely slow. Therefore, parallel, we have developed now bentonite granule. It's kind of a spraying, I don't know the term of this in English, some kind of a screw system. We are pushing bentonite granules which are of different sizes. The size division or particle size division is from 15 millimeters to almost 0 millimeters, and this method gives us in fact far better density and much faster. It's the machine is reversing from the tunnel and filling it like in inclined way, and that we have tested in our big testing facility, and we have abandoned this methodology because we reach good results, but it is very slow. Now we reach better results and faster. And we are discussing with NWMO of this technology too. NWMO has already gone to this granule filling methodology, but the development, we did some further development for that.
Is that what you use in the subdrifts too, that hold the cylinders?
Sorry?
The vertical drifts there, the subdrifts that hold the cylinders themselves?
Yeah,
That's a smaller drift, right?
they are, if you mean the material around, that's bentonite, yeah. They are pre-pressed bentonite rings, or they are not rings, in fact they are sectors. There.
Please go ahead.
Thanks, Mika, for your presentation. In your slide with the timelines, I'm interested in from the site selection to the approval to construct. That was 15 years.
Just a minute. Here.
Yeah. So 15 years from the site selection to approval to construct. Was that time spent with environmental approvals, engineering and design, or was there a change in government or a shift in political support for the project?
That's one thing which is very good. I start from the last. We are a private company which is owned by two private companies, so any political change doesn't affect. So we are 2 arms length away. So we are implementing that task what our board has given to us, and even in their boards there are no politicians. So no political change, but this time we spent, in fact 12 years we spent to put together the construction application license, because that needs, I would say, very much scientific proof that this thing is safe. Because in this construction license application handling, our nuclear regulator tells that this is safe or this is not safe, or something in between, but they told that this is safe, but you have to do 160 points more for the operation, 160, we call them open points in your operational license application. So 10 years here from 8 years, 2004 to 2012 was also spent by constructing Onkalo. So that's all in all. Down, we get down there, it's 5 kilometers, and down under there are the 2 kilometers different facilities, and there are lots of these research and development, physical research and development, what we call them niches. So there's radioactive substance traveling in the rock, there is bentonite swelling testing, there is artificial plug, there are tens of tests and experiments made. So this time was used to put together the adequate content or proof for the construction license application. Then the handling of application took 3 years, because any application, it's typical that you submit the application, then you get different statements for that, and based on those statements, the authority who handles this application then gives you more obligations or asks or demands that you complement your application. So in short, this period was used for research and development and constructing Onkalo.
Are there any other questions?
Just a really simple question. You have 4 shafts and 1 ramp.
Yeah.
Can you explain what they're all for?
Yeah, I could. No, maybe it goes without the picture also. I know that in mining country and mining in engineering, the ramp is not nice. So shafts are the thing. But we had to have I go slightly downwards. We had to have a ramp because I will go to the picture. It's always easier to use. we had to have this because we have these research niches here. There are all for different purposes, and we needed to have research facilities in that rock where we are going to construct the final disposal. So the ramp was built and for that purpose, and also for that we can reach this depth directly with, for example, excavation machinery, and then the lorries which are taking the rock out, which is, by the way, used in our own power plant area in harbor construction, wave break construction. Nothing has been transported out. So this ramp was, in our thinking, a very good thing, making things much faster, because you can, like Germans in contract low and intermediate waste it's been constructed, they have transported all the machinery down as pieces via shafts. We are not mining engineers, so we didn't see the point. We like to drive down there. So sorry I know that there are half of the audience is mining engineers. But the shafts are ventilation shaft in and ventilation shaft out, and then these are two, and then there is a personal lift shaft, and then the canister shaft, so 4 shafts and the ramp. Now I will probably be thrown out from my department.
Are there any other questions this evening?
Luckily I flee in the morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mika.
The CLC, we'd like to thank you very much for making the trip all the way here to come present to our community this evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you again.
Thank you.
You're not finished yet. On behalf of the township and the councilors, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was an excellent presentation. We learned a lot, and it was very good. And I'd like you to open this up and try it on, just make sure it's right.
I hope it's not swimming trunks.
Now I'm wired. There's an enormous amount of microphone wire. No? Glad it's no enough. I could choke you. This would be very embarrassing. Fits perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Okay, I can throw this away. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm of course here occasion, so you can come and chat and ask more questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So we'd like to do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC thanks Mika, for the managing director, for his presentation on the Posava's journey from the white map of Finland to the construction of the world's first deep geological repository for spent nuclear fuel. So thank you again. Can I have a mover, please? Jim, seconder. Carly, and all in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So moving on to the CLC regular business, the project manager report. Oh, I'm sorry, Carly's presentation. I'm sorry. It helps if I add the things I add to the agenda.
I was hoping you would. No, I almost did, but do you need a hand with anything, Carly? No, it's fine. I'm feeling a little embarrassed because that was a really great presentation. I spend most of my days with 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. We don't have to pay attention to this stuff. So the Nuclear Waste Committee a few years ago has purchased the schools in our area robotics, and they invited us to show off a little bit of what we've been doing in the schools with them. So I'd like to
start off by being quite honest. They've been in our schools for about 3 years. It took me 2.5 years to even open the boxes. It's very scary. I don't know, with teaching, robotics is not anything that I've ever been trained in, or a lot of us at the school. But I did have the opportunity to go to some training last year and then decided, okay, we have all these beautiful toolkits, it's time to dive in. So I'm from Our Lady of Lourdes School, if you don't know. I taught there for 14 years. Most of my time has been spent in grade 7 and 8. This year I'm teaching grade 5, 6. So what I'll do here is just start off at the beginning. We have a lot of different robots within our school, and the first thing that I thought we should do is start with these little B-bots. B-bots are for kids who are ages 3 to about 10. And with teaching grade 7 and 8, I thought, hey, why don't we start with that? It should be easy. Wasn't so easy because really kids don't know what coding is. So we dove in, we tried to figure it out. Just with simple maths, can you make a B-bot go from one side of the map to the other? And after playing with it a bit, we realized that kids did not understand how to do that. So we started with directional coding and just being able to move something from one side of an area to another, and why that's important. So after playing with the robots for a little bit and realizing that kids had zero understanding of what coding was, we decided to backtrack a bit and dive into why is coding even important in today's society. So we did a little bit of research and realized that when kids are playing video games, there's actually code within every video game you're playing, whether it's an app on your phone, or you're playing Xbox, or Switch, or whatever. Coding is an important aspect of that. So we decided, why don't we build some games on physical paper and use our B-bot and code our B-bots to play those games. So we went into that last year, and that helped the kids understand the importance of the movements of things within a robot and whatnot. So the B-bots really help with that because they're just for directional coding. So after we were done understanding that, it came to the end of the year. So last year we mastered B-bot coding with the kids. It was a lot of fun. We built games. We also did many tests to show even code is used to create images online and everything. So we challenged ourselves to see, can we code our names? So they were putting directional code into the robot and seeing in the end if it was going to draw our names. A lot of failed attempts. The kids were punching all these codes and I was just making like zigzags across the paper. But in the end they were able to spell some of the letters in the alphabet and they were pretty proud of themselves. So, yeah. Coming into this year, after my experience with the coding and doing some training with teaching, I was introduced to a lot of new concepts. So as a teacher, we're trained in all these different subject areas. In literacy, we're teaching the kids how to read, write, listening skills, communication skills. A lot of that is still relevant today, but we need to start introducing more 21st century learning with increasing our literacy skills, teaching the kids why it's important to understand coding, digital vocabulary, as well as inquiry-based learning. So all of this has to start somewhere. So they're saying, let's bring robots into school, and then maybe kids will become more interested in learning these things because in reality, just like we learned from Mika's presentation, engineering, all that stuff, a lot of that is run by code now. So if kids are more familiar with what that is, then maybe once they're older, they'll jump in and be involved in it. So for myself, I'm like, I don't know if that was my responsibility, but apparently it is. But no, we're having a lot of fun with it too. So again, we are very thankful to the Nuclear Waste Committee because they bought us a lot of the kits and the robots we have at school. They are very costly, and schools don't have the money. So we have these Lego Mindstorm EV3 kits that were purchased. Again, sat in the school for 2 years. I cracked them open at the end of last year. We're really using them again this year. It is scary because again, a lot of training comes about that. But these robots here were built by 11-year-olds. Yeah, so they're very excited, and we just are starting to learn to code them, but it was really fun. And knowing that the cost of each of these kits, so we have 20 at the school. I think 10 of them were purchased by Nuclear Waste and 10 were purchased by the school board. Each of these kits cost about $400. We even taught the kids about that and the importance of like taking care of all the pieces, because these kits have thousands of pieces, and without one of these pieces, the robot's not going to work properly. So we were learning all about that and making sure we're putting everything away, because you backing up that Lego, it's not going to work the next day. So just the importance of really appreciating what they have and how we should take care of it. So with that, getting started, we decided what we needed to do first was research what we could do with these kits. So the class watched a lot of YouTube videos, seeing what was out there. We went through lots of Lego instruction kits. People who have kids know like there's so many things you can build with Legos. These kits are the same thing. There's so many projects out there. So we made sure, first of all, that a few of us dived into projects. We didn't have the correct pieces. There were different types of kits. We had the EV3s. There were different instructions out there. So after we started researching the project, then we had to inventory all the pieces to make sure they were there so we could build the robots we wanted. Then we started building. So that took about 2 weeks to do the research before we even started building. But through that, lots of things came out of that. Kids were demonstrating leadership skills, problem-solving skills, perseverance, teamwork. Coming from kids who would just sit back and not even talk in class, it's pretty amazing to see what they could do when they had their hands on the robots and be able to build. Students who wouldn't even share were just talking like crazy because they were very excited about what they could do. In terms of perseverance, I have this robot right here that I sat down with a group of girls who had zero interest in building Lego, and they tried to build this robot, which in the end was supposed to climb stairs. They rebuilt this structure about 4 times, and in the end, we took it all apart again because it still wasn't working out. We had to actually put the project aside and give up, which is something I know it says perseverance, but after 2 months of doing this, we found out that this one little Lego piece right here is put it backwards. So we would have to take it apart for a 4th time and retry it. So we decided that we're going to join another group. But again, they still it was pretty amazing to see, because after they tried and tried and tried, it didn't work. They took it apart, like you said, 3 times, and the 4th time, time to throw that project away. But it's pretty amazing because it doesn't matter what skill level the kids were at. We have non-readers, but we have kids who excel in everything. But when you put the robots in front of them, it doesn't matter. You could never come into my classroom and see who those kids are, because they're all able to find the pieces. They're all able to read the instructions and follow the diagrams and put them all together. So it was pretty neat to see that. Okay. It also creates a safe environment to make mistakes. Like as I shared, the kids, they were building and noticing, oh, I should use this long piece, but I didn't, and then they were okay to take it apart and try again. So being able to make a mistake in an environment in school is really awesome. So that's what the robotics are doing with us. The inquiry skills, learning that if it said a red piece and they grabbed a blue piece, it didn't work, why didn't it work? And they were able to switch them around. And obviously the hands-on learning. Kids love to build and do things like that. So these are just some images of some students who are obviously enjoying. There's always smiles when we're pulling the robots out, and always happy that they're achieving things. So these are some of the kids working on their projects this year. So in the end, it took us about 2 months to build these robots, and then our school board actually has a digital learning teacher who comes in and teaches us coding and programming. And she came in and she was very pleased because actually Mindstorm projects are usually built in high school. So she was just pretty amazed that these 5, 6, 35 teachers were able to, first of all, go through this and get robots in the end. So out of the 20 kits, we were able to create 6 successful robots, which is pretty amazing, I think, because I have 18 students. So they're very pleased. Then we find out that to make this dog move, they have to be able to punch all this code into the computer. So currently with our robots, this is where the digital learning comes in the 21st century, understanding the communication and whatnot. The 3 girls who worked on this dog were so ecstatic to make this thing move, and then the lady comes in and she presents this, and they're just like, oh my God, like, what the heck, right? So we've decided to put the project to the side for a bit, and then in January we're going to come back and just learn the coding. So learn and obviously the perseverance. To continue on right now, it would have been like, I was really hoping to come here today and have a little puppy go to the audience, but again, we have it. Maybe we'll come back and do it. Yeah, so that's where we're at right this was learning the code. We did the directional coding, but coding a robot is a lot more than just direction. They can make the dog do different actions, make noises, they can program their voices into it and everything. So that's where we're going to be at with the learning. So some of the challenges the kids faced was, again, selecting the correct pieces to make the robot move. Another one is time. If I could have sat down 8 hours a day for a whole week, we probably would have got the robots done in a week. But it took us, we did 2 months straight, an hour, 5 days a week to build these robots. And like I said, we got 6 done. So, but I wish they would have said that it probably would have been better with high school kids. But again, we did it. And actually the kids were still pretty engaged. Even though it took a lot of time, they still enjoyed it. And now we're moving into the challenge of understanding code, because once they were presented, they didn't understand why it wasn't just like the debug where they just punch in left, right, left, whatever. They're just like, oh my God, all these different buttons for movings, ups, downs, bendings, twisting, or whatever. And then understanding the digital language of that is where we're moving into. So those are the challenges. But again, in the end, with these kids being 10, 11, 12 years old and learning it now, let's just think about what they can do in the future by discovering that. A lot of us, when we went into different areas of our careers when we got older, none of this was introduced to us until we were in like university or college. And so now we have kids doing it now. So the other robots we have at the school, that some of this came from nuclear waste as well, are our dash and dots. They're similar to the B-bots but have a little bit more function. We have those other little blue kits are Lego We-Dos, which I would have started there because that's kind of like the medium stage of robotics, but very similar, but like I said, less complex. And we do our coding as well. So it's a website that kids can just go on there and it teaches them like how Minecraft's coded, Just Dance videos, any kind of like, it teaches the kids how to create code to make those things move. So that's maybe where we're going to go next, is using those kind of websites and understanding coding before we jump into coding our robots and do things. So that's basically it. Like I said, I can't make these things do anything yet, but the kids are very excited for what they did do, and again, we thank Nuclear Waste for helping provide these opportunities with the kids so they can again be better learners as they grow up and obviously have more opportunities in our school.
So do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC thank Carly and her class for their hard work and their presentation this evening. Can I have a mover? John, seconder? Jim? All in favor? Okay. so sorry, now we'll move on to the project manager report.
So I'm Gordon Barnes, for you guys who don't know me, because there's a lot of people here. Honestly, for the better part of the last 2-3 weeks, I've just been planning for our international speakers visit Mika, advertising and preparing for our lovely meet and greet, which we had amazing food by Tammy and Dan Sapla, so thank you.
Yeah.
And another thing I've been doing this month is trying to update our CLC website. I'm still getting used to the little program, so I'm hoping to have it fully updated this month, hopefully.
Do coding at OL.
Yeah, I'm going to have to learn that.
Website design is way easier.
So hopefully by this month I'll have it completely updated with things we've been doing in 2019 instead of in 2015-16. So yeah, that's been my month in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So resolved that the Manitowoc CLC receives the project manager's report as presented. Do I have a mover? Glenn, seconder? Jim, all in favor? Perfect. Okay, so moving on to the second item, it's a council engagement letter. So it was distributed out with your packets for this meeting. So what I'd like to do is I have written a letter that I would like to do a delegation form and a presentation to council if this letter is approved by the CLC. So I'll read the letter and then we can have a discussion. So I have to the Council of the Township of Manitouwadge. I am writing to you today on behalf of the Manitouwadge Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee to seek your guidance in regards to community engagement opportunities within our community. We have had multiple committee suggestions for community engagement, only to be advised that they are not appropriate venues for this type of engagement. As per the committee's terms of reference, we are mandated by council to complete the following within our community in regards to the public: to engage, educate, and listen to the community of Manitouwadge and the immediate neighboring communities regarding the NWMO's site selection process. We are also mandated to liaison with the members of our community and to facilitate learning for the community in an open-minded, unbiased manner while respecting the diverse views of others. We are asking council to advise as to the manner in which they wish us to accomplish the above mandated community engagement. Are we to only organize and host our own NWCLC events, or at your discretion, can you please provide a detailed list of the community of Manitouwadge events that are approved venues for the NWCLC engagement to take place? We feel that taking this opportunity to attend community events for engagement about this project would provide the greatest benefit to our community and its learning experience within the NWMO's site selection process. This community involvement of our committee provides multiple opportunities to interact with the public, learn about their concerns, which technical knowledge, form, and process are required for future learning, and to build a rapport with our community members. I thank you for your time and consideration in assisting our committee with meeting our terms of reference community mandated engagement. Any concerns about this?
So in the past, were we presenting ideas and told we weren't allowed to attend?
Yes. So, for example, at our last meeting, I had prepared and suggested 2 community events that just passed, the Moonlight Madness event and the Community Home Based Business and Craft Show. Hope I got the title right. And on the day of our meeting, I was contacted and told that the municipal staff felt that it was an inappropriate venue for us to attend. So I really feel that community engagement for us to go out and within our community is very important in this process. So I would like to have council's direction of exactly what we are allowed to attend.
Okay.
Is everyone on board, or do we need to vote?
Yep. I'm good with it.
Send a letter.
Okay. So I'll submit this letter tomorrow.
There was more times where things were turned down also.
Yes, multiple. Those are just the 2 most recent, but we have had other suggestions throughout the process of the year, just as myself for the chair, that were turned down. So I'd really like to have that direction. So I will submit this letter tomorrow, and hopefully if all goes well, it'll make it onto the agenda of the last meeting of the month, which I believe is the 27th. I think I have that date right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC will accept the letter written to council by myself, Tiffany Litzner, and will allow it to be sent to council on their behalf. Can I have a mover? Glenn, seconder? Carly, all in favor? Perfect, thank you. Okay, so the next item, and it'll just be a moment, I'm just going to load a video to for everyone to watch. So another idea that I came across online that I would like the CLC to consider to adopt when we make our budget for next year. The Royal Ontario Museum has an educational project that allows educators to rent kits that would be sent here. So I'm just going to play the video because it actually explains it the best, and then I have a little bit of information from the Royal Ontario Museum as to costs of the different size of cases, including the shipping costs directly to our community. So if you will all just bear with me.
Okay.
Maybe? Is Chris still back there somewhere?
No,
He's gone. All right. Okay, I guess I have to explain it.
It won't play?
No, it just says that it's not supported. It's a YouTube video, but that's okay. Technology. Okay, so the idea of these kits is there's different sizes available. So I was thinking for this project that any of the kits that fall into the STEM, which is the science, technology, environment, and mathematics. So what happens is the educator can choose the size of the kit. So they have mini, regular, large, and deluxe, and the deluxe is actually 2 separate cases. They can rent them for 2, 4, 12 weeks, up to a full school year. Are you able to fix that?
I don't know what's wrong with it. You're doing.
I wanted to play my video, and that's what it told me.
What'd you do?
I clicked play.
Oh.
Oh, that's okay.
Because I went to sleep. You guys were all okay.
I wasn't over here. Okay, I'll just explain it.
No, no, it's good. Went to sleep.
All right.
Okay. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to take. Okay, so hopefully if it doesn't take too long, I'll still play the video. But the idea is that the educator can then rent these kits to come and they can use them within their classrooms. So it's organized to reach from kindergarten all the way up to high school. The kit comes with replica pieces, real pieces. They come with learning plans as well, so how the teacher and the educator can work it into their plan. Slowly going up there. Essentially what I was looking at doing was having some money set aside so that if there was a local educator who wanted to rent one of these kits to use within their classroom for hands-on learning experience with their students, they could just write us a letter to say this is the kit that we would like, and then we as a CLC would have set money aside to cover that. If the money is there, then we could approve it. The teacher would then order the kit and use it in the classroom for the length of time that they desire.
Good job, Chris.
Way to go, Chris.
Can you?
Really? Internet.
Okay, that's it, I'm done.
Is it one kit for one school, or does one kit go to all schools?
So they could do it like one kit per school, or they could share if they got, say, the deluxe kit. So like some of the small kits, for example, for a 2-week rental of what they consider a mini kit would be $50 for them to rent that kit, and it would come with, like, say, 2 or 3 different things in it, and then a learning plan is how they could incorporate those things into their existing education plan that they already have. The deluxe kits, like as you get further up, they're a lot larger. They're actually 2 separate kits, and there's multiple items in there for them to use. It's not just STEM that they offer. They do offer other things, like, for example, there's like living in medieval times in Europe, and they'll send like chain mail and things like that for the kids to use and interact with. In this aspect, I was thinking of just keeping it within the STEM ideas. So I just wanted to know anyone's thoughts about it, the project, to see if that's something that we as a CLC might be interested in implementing next year in our budget.
I think it's a fairly good idea, but why don't we just ask a teacher to see
I was kind of hoping she would say something.
If it's something that they would use in the classroom, or you think this is a good idea that could be integrated into the school.
We've never used the ROM kits before, but Science North also provides programming like this. The Science North ones are actually based around the Ontario curriculum, so they would probably be more beneficial in the classroom. As well as Science North also offers video one-on-one with Science North itself. So I'm actually doing a kit in December with Science North, and they video connect with us, and they run the whole presentation, but ship all the things up. So I'll receive the things 2 weeks prior, and then Science North runs the presentation through video conference.
Okay.
So I've never heard of the ROM ones before, and I'm sure they're pretty amazing, but if you're looking for things particular for science, the Science North one, they actually go through every part of the curriculum for science from K to 8, and they probably do offer high school as well. And all of their activities are guided right for the curriculum. So.
Okay. So what are the CLC's thoughts maybe in just adapting this project into the Science North kits? Still setting money aside and having the same process educators can apply to have the cost covered of the materials that are shipped up to them and whatever the project costs for them to complete.
And the prices are about the same. Some kits are $50, and then one that I'm doing right now is $300, because it depends if it's like chemistry or whatever, the supplies they're sending up, and some of the supplies you don't reuse, right, because you use them in the experiments and then they're gone, right? So, yeah.
I definitely like the idea, and I would just say just to open it up, not just the ROM, but open it up to.
Yeah. So to maybe make it a project for any kind of traveling educational project that falls within STEM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or concerns about it? Okay, so...
So as far as picking an amount of money, then we'll just wait till budget time to do that?
Yeah, that was my thought. I thought when in the new year, when we have our first meeting and we discuss the budget, we can then look at setting this money aside so that it's just as simple as the educator applying, saying, I'd like this kit, it's going to cost me $300 plus the shipping. And then if the money is there, we say, yes, go ahead, they order it, and then we'll make the payment on their behalf.
Perfect.
So we'll do resolve that the Manitowoc CLC accepts the Royal Ontario Museum Education Project correspondence as received, and be it further resolved that the project will be expanded to include any traveling kit education program, and funding will then be decided in the new year during our budget meeting. Can I have a mover? Carly, seconder? Glenn, all in favor? Perfect, thank you. And then I had on here for update from the parade committee. Is there any updates as to the progress of the parade for the Christmas, or the float for the Christmas parade?
You want the long answer or the short answer?
Maybe the short answer?
Short answer, no. We haven't talked to Dave yet, since he's heading this up.
Okay. Now, he did stop to talk to me that he was going to be away at this meeting, and there's potential for him to be away in the next little bit before the float. So are you guys able to continue on and have the float ready to go, or at least planned so that whoever's available the day you build it can come and help?
I don't know what to say at this point. I didn't know that Dave wasn't going to be around.
So do you perhaps want to just do that by email, have an email correspondence, and then just email out to the CLC what the decision is going to be, if it's still going to be possible or feasible to have a float for the parade?
We'll have to check it out.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So next item on the list is a Christmas party. So in the past, we've gotten together as a CLC with the NWMO staff that comes to our meeting. So we would like to have that opportunity to have a get-together at the end of this year. So we're just looking at dates for the availability of the NWMO staff. So I'd like to just put it out to the CLC for interest. So they're actually looking at the end of November on the 25th or the 26th. It's a Monday or a Tuesday. Any thoughts?
I'm wide open.
Both is good for me.
Okay.
What were the dates again?
25th and 26th. It's a Monday or a Tuesday. It's the last week of November.
I will not be here. But that doesn't go right ahead. But I won't be here. That's a Grey Cup hangover.
26, I'm not here.
What about the 25th?
Are you here on the 25th, Morris? It could be either date.
I should be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be here on the 25th.
So 25th?
25th? Okay. And then it would be, what would we like to do? So would we like to just have a get-together and have a catered dinner?
That's what we've done in the past.
I just want to make sure
and- yeah.
everyone's... Okay.
So you'll just get back to us with the details of the time and the place, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes. I'll have Jordan reach out and see who's available for catering, and then we'll go from there, and we'll just email everyone with an invitation. So do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC accept the Christmas party correspondence as received, and be it further resolved that the Christmas party for the NWCLC will be on November 25th, 2019, and further details are to follow pending availability of location and a caterer. I have a mover. Carly, seconder. Jim, all in favor? Next item on the list is a funding request that came to the CLC for a music class, and it was distributed with the packets. Were you able to get any other information?
The only information I got is that it will be used in classrooms as well as in the buses, not just solely for the after-school club.
So a letter came in on October 24th from Ted Lalonde, teacher at the high school, and they're writing to request financial support for a new drumming and percussion club at the Manitowoc High School. They have a group of students that are keenly interested in music and are looking to purchase a variety of percussion instruments, including drums, sticks, practice pads, and sheet music to get this club up and running. Their anticipated budget requirements for the instruments and materials is $8,000. If your organization is able to help with this financial contribution, it would be much appreciated and can be reached at tedlalonde@yahoo.ca or at the high school, and the phone number 826-3241, and they thank you in advance for consideration of this request. So, any comments or concerns about the request? When the letter first came in, I had asked Jordan if she was able to get a little bit more information, as it was just a straight written letter. It's not from official letterhead from the school, so we weren't sure if it was something that was going to be used in the classroom or if this is just a specific after-school club with the kids that were interested. So I wasn't sure. There was no other direction other than Jordan said that the instruments could also and would be used within the classroom. So I wasn't sure by doing this, is it something like who they actually belong to? Are they going to belong to the school, or are they going to belong to just this club? So that was just one of my questions. So I didn't know, did anybody else have any other concerns?
So did you find out?
Jordan just said they just came back that said it'd be within the classroom, but that still doesn't answer, like, if the club discontinues, what happens to the instruments? Who actually owns them? Where's all the funding coming from? Is the school supporting this at all? So those are just a couple things I was kind of hoping to get. So I didn't know what everyone else thought, but I was hoping to perhaps write back to them and ask for some more detailed information about the request.
Yeah, like, are they requesting us pay the whole $8,000?
So I think they were just giving us the budget to see how much we could do. I'd rather, like you said, have more of a breakdown and have a little bit more information of exactly what they're looking for, and is it being supported by the school? Is it like a supported event? Or is it just a group of kids that are, like, they are interested in doing it? But I just kind of like a little bit more information as to what the full intention of using all of the equipment would be.
Yep.
You're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Even if they could provide costs of, like, how many drums are they buying, how much does
Yeah,
each drum
just more
cost?
information.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll just put it in the resolution just for you to contact via letter for more information. Oh, let's change this one. So resolve that the Manitowoc CLC is in receipt of the music class funding request, and be it further resolved that the Manitowoc CLC requests further detailed information about this project to then be discussed at that time. Okay, mover? John, seconder? Glenn, all in favor? Thank you. So the next request came for the Christmas Parade sponsorship. So they're looking for the NWCLC to sponsor the Christmas Parade again. We have done this in the past. So last year we sponsored the second and third place winners. They were given $75 in extreme dollars, and the second place winner was given $50 in the extreme dollars. So they would like us again to, or if we are interested again this year into sponsoring this event.
Sure.
I say yeah.
Okay with that? Okay. Everyone's good.
What's with the first place?
I don't remember. Did they do something different last year? Or maybe a different sponsor for
Oh,
the
they
first
have a
place?
sponsor, okay.
Oh, EDC. Karen.
Okay, thank you.
Can we raise the amounts a little bit? It sounds like pretty small
Sure.
prizes, you know, like
Yeah, but
maybe 200 and 100 or something like that. There's a lot of people involved
Karen, do
in
you happen to know what your...
parades.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we can't make second place more than the first.
We can make down third and we can do first and second.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't like that since they've already told us first.
I say we agree to this, but if EDC wants to up it, that we will too. How's that sound?
Do we just want to match it so that irregardless of first, second, or third, everyone gets $100?
Perfect, yeah.
What are
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Upping it to $100 for both prizes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And again, that's all in its extreme dollars.
Yes, so that it's all done in the extreme dollars. So the CLC would purchase the extreme dollars, and then that's the prize that's handed out. Okay, so we'll do resolve that the Manitowoc CLC is in receipt of the Christmas Parade funding request, and be it further resolved that the Manitowoc CLC will fund $200. This will allow $100 for second place and $100 for third place. Can I have a mover? Good. Seconder, Carly, all in favor? Perfect. So the next item on our list is the learning plan review for the learning plan for 2020. We had started looking at this last meeting, and we had talked about keeping our main 8 topics from our learning plan from 2019. So I had just typed up and distributed in the packet just those 8 main areas that we'd like to focus on. And then our other option is to then put specific meeting topics that would fall under these 8 main categories for ideas in the learning plan. Carly, you had sent a couple to me as well. Did anyone else have any ideas or specific meeting topics that they'd like to see the CLC for learning?
I'd like to see something about the good uses for radiation, like CT scans and X-rays and stuff like that, because radiation is good, and technology lets us use it properly.
Yeah, because a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, Karen, they brought a scientist into the schools and they had all those radiation testing machines. That has probably been like 8 or 9 years, and that was pretty good education for the schools as well. So, and that was for the whole school group, but they came in and talked about all the different uses of radiation and how it's safe and things like that. So that was a pretty good presentation.
Okay. And Carly, did you want to talk about the items that you had sent to me?
Well, I just went through some of the curriculum for, you guys are probably, why am I such a go-getter here, but I was thinking of more or less things we could put in possibly for schools, because really nuclear waste, if it does move forward in Manitowoc, these are the kids that are going to probably be working there. So I was thinking in terms of right now, since the big focus is on land use, is there any way we can get some kind of presentations in that show more of like the topographic maps of the area and which areas would be good and which areas would be bad for selection, bringing that into school. Thematic maps is big with social studies in school, and it'd be cool if they brought in some of those people to the school to show the kids, like, this is what's around Manitowoc and why is this important to nuclear waste and not important. I don't know. That could be an idea. But in terms, I didn't know if I was supposed to find a presentator, but I don't.
No, this idea is just to start on our basis. So at our last meeting, we had decided to keep those 8 original topics. So I know the learning plan is newer for you. So I'll just quickly go through them for everyone as well. So number 1 of our learning plan objectives was to understand the proposed project description. So the transport and storage of used nuclear fuel. Number 2 is to understand the potential impacts and the transportation and storage of used nuclear fuel would have on the health and safety of the public and the workers and the environment, and how they may possibly be eliminated or mitigated. Number 3 was to increase knowledge of technical topics that are important to understanding the transport and storage of high-level nuclear waste. Number 4 was to explore how the siting of the high-level nuclear waste storage facility would fit into the long-term economic and social vision for Manitouwadge and the area. Number 5 is to continue to engage the youth and educators to ensure that the youth participate in the Learn More process and that they understand and take advantage of potential education and employment opportunities. Number 6 is to increase CLC public engagement skills to ensure that all citizens are engaged and that their voices are heard. Number 7 is to understand Aboriginal concerns. And number 8 was international perspectives on deep geological repositories. So we'd like to keep these 8 main goals for our learning plan, and then by our monthly topics, we plan topics like what you had suggested within presentations of that would work in conjunction with what the NWMO would bring us for a presentation, as well as we could find our own presenters of like specific topic, or say you see something on TV and you think, oh, this fits into this and that's a really good presenter, I think our community would benefit from that. You could give the specific information, bring it into one of our meetings when we talk about it, and if approved, then Jordan would contact them and see about the potential for them to come to our community.
Okay.
So tonight is just to start in that process of start nailing down some of our meeting topics for the months that fall in for next year. So I know we've had some presentations in the past for like what you had suggested with the land use. So in this instance, we could put in to have like a recap for the new members, because we do have some new members of the CLC. And then we could also ask that the presenter that comes, that they also maybe go in and plan a school presentation as well.
I think some kind, because I've seen career fair on here, creating a mock career fair would be pretty amazing. When we did visit the office in Toronto, and I think it was with you, they had given us a bunch of pamphlets on future careers with nuclear waste, but it would be pretty amazing if some of those like engineers or whatever would like to present to talk about like their careers with nuclear waste management, and then they can come into the schools and talk to the students as well.
Like their background and how they got started and how they got interested
like
in
what career path they took to get into that or whatever. That would be pretty amazing. As well as I thought possibly bringing in anyone who can explain the difference between clean energy and not clean energy sources, so people might be more comfortable in knowing that nuclear waste is clean. And it is a big provider of energy in Ontario, right? Okay. So I don't know if you guys have done these before in the past, but...
Any others? Okay, so with the couple that Carly had, and then I had a few that I had gone over at the last meeting as well, and I can just recap those ones. I'd like to start applying some of these meeting topics to next year so that we can get started on looking for specific presenters, if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the ideas that I had come up with at the last meeting, so it would fit into the learning plan under section 1 and 2 would be for the process and the container changes for the storage of the damaged fuel bundles and the adaptations that are being made to the current storage container. So under learning plan number 3, some other options other than the DGR. So there is a specific French physicist that I had looked at that's actually working with lasers, and his theory is the potential of decreasing the radioactivity in radioactive waste. So it has the potential to make that time frame that it is radioactive significantly less. Under learning plan topic number 2, an environmentalist view. So there wasn't a specific environmentalist. He does a lot of TED Talks. I'm a TED Talk person. So he started off his career as an anti-nuclear activist, and he's now turned to pro-nuclear. He founded an environmental Progress, which is a research and policy organization for fighting for the clean power and energy. Under learning plan number 5 was the youth engagement, so including the projects and educational ideas, which would fit really well with Carly's suggestions in the career fair. Learning plan section number 4 was the social, economical, community impacts, to have a speaker to come and speak to us specifically on how their facilities and their township and municipality changed when they had a large-scale event like this, like something like the corporation opening of a new mine, something like that, and how they found the impacts on their community and the effects of that happening. And then under section number 2 of the learning plan, to have a speaker come from the Canadian Environmental Law Association. So, with some of those in mind, as well as the ones that Carly had, I'd like to start putting in some of the meeting topics. So, for the school year, what would you suggest be the best time for the youth engagement for the career fair?
Probably April.
April? Mm-hmm. Is everyone okay if we do youth engagement and try and do career fair in April? Okay. So for the clean energy versus the non-clean energy, which could also kind of tie in with that environmentalist view, is do we want to just start from there and go down in May and see if we can have a speaker or an environmentalist view to touch on both of those topics?
Yeah, I'm thinking once you figure out who your speaker is, maybe check their availability.
Yeah.
And kind of set up the month by month.
Just kind of go. So do we want to then go through and find specific speakers for all of these, reach out to them, see when they're available, and then at our next meeting or for future meetings, like early in the year in January and February, we can put them in based on kind of some of the responses that we've gotten back?
Yeah, I think that's probably the simplest way to fill it.
So what I'll do is I'll pass along the specific suggestions that I had to Jordan, and she can start reaching out. And in the meantime, in falling into the learning plan main 8 topics that we had, and Carly, if you want to look at maybe finding some specific speakers for your suggestions as well, if you find anything, then our next meeting in December and then again in January, then we can start that process of reaching out to the people. Okay with that? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, are we going to have a meeting in December?
That was going to be the next thing. It would be December 12th. I know in the past we had a meeting, but it was like a shorter meeting, just if there's anything we had to wrap up for the year, or in this case, in the next month, if there's anything specific for the learning plan. So what are everyone's thoughts about having a meeting in December?
What day is the parade?
It's the 8th. It's the Sunday.
I personally would not like to have a meeting in December, just from being a teacher. But if you guys are going to have one, I'll come.
Any other comments?
Is NWMO available to come?
No, it would be via the system if they're able to.
Or maybe we don't need one in December.
Okay.
I don't think we've had one in the past in
January.
December. So then December would be the 16th? Or January, sorry. January would be the 16th?
Okay, so we'll do a resolution that the Manitowoc CLC is in receipt of the learning plan review, and be it further resolved that we will continue to find specific speakers to educate the CLC and the community about the learning plan topics outlined in the NWMO the Manitowoc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee 2020 Learning Plan. Can I have a mover? Carly, seconder. Jim, all in favor? Perfect. No closed session. No. So we'll do resolution that the regular meeting of the NWCLC will adjourn at the hour of 9:28 p.m. Can I have a mover? Jim, seconder?
Sure.
Glenn, all in favor? Perfect. Thank you very much, and I'd just like to thank everyone in the community who came out this evening to our meeting and for the presentation. Thank you.